Have you been thinking about moving to Portland, Oregon? This home is special before you ever walk in the front door. Located in Willamette Heights, this neighborhood is phenomenal. And this house backs Forest Park. So you back the largest urban park anywhere. It is an amazing location. Just down the street is a trailhead. You can walk out your front door and head to the trails, 32 miles down the Wildwood Trail, right out your front door. Plus you have this fabulous outdoor patio. You overlook the street, you're high up. The landscaping is mature and beautiful. It is just a lush oasis of front yard. Some updates on the outside include a newer roof in 2018 and exterior paint in 2019. And then inside, I can't wait to show you a time capsule that it is. This is the house that you've been dreaming of making your own, putting a little bit of work into it, a little bit of sweat equity into it, and having exactly the modern classic masterpiece you've always waited for. This picturesque English arts and crafts style home was built in 1914. And oh my goodness, do they know how to build homes in 1914? You start with this beautiful entry, benches on each side, mudroom hooks, and the gorgeous, amazing leaded glass windows that you see at the entry continue throughout the entire house. Once you're inside that little vestibule, now you're at the formal entry. This house was so grand when it was built in 1914. If I lived here, I'd have a beautiful table here with a bouquet of flowers right as you walk in. Things like the Cove ceiling, the trim work, the double French doors into the dining room. Signs that this house was probably built for somebody pretty high up the food chain when it was built in 1914. Gorgeous oak floors on the main floor. And they're not only oak floors, they're also very well thought out floors where you have the exterior around one direction and then the center of the room around the other direction. Small details like that make all the difference. The living room is massive. It was designed for entertaining and parties and just a lot of grandeur. This house has a boiler as its heat source, which we don't see a lot in Portland. That's a little bit more of an East Coast thing, but it has a boiler. And let me just tell you, radiant heat through a boiler is such a fabulous heat. I always tell people it's a very warm heat. And I mean, heat is warm, but it's a very warm heat. You can definitely tell in a home when it has a boiler versus forced air gas or something like that. It's wonderful. And it just gives lots of things. So these benches are so charming, but that's also where your heat source is. So that's kind of a fun twofer. You also have the wood burning fireplace, and stay tuned. This house also has lots of fireplaces, plus these beautiful built-ins, so nice. And it just carries the charm throughout, especially with little trim work details. You have the crown molding as well as picture frame molding, so lots of accents and details all through. The formal dining room has the second fireplace. The same oak wood floors have the same inlay pattern, and you have the beautiful bench with the leaded glass windows, plus the plantation shutters. So you have lots of things that you can do, and it just feels, maybe regal is a good word for it. Trim on the walls is beautiful. Like I said, you're gonna put your own touch on this house. This house is ready for its next owner, its next chapter, but the neighborhood is so good and the location is so solid that there's no way you could ever overbuild in this neighborhood. You could spend a lot of money on this house if you wanted to at some point and not worry about being the most expensive house in the neighborhood. That would never be a concern here. This is the kitchen. Now remember in 1914, we didn't care very much about kitchens and bathrooms. Our servants worked in our kitchens, so kitchens from 1914 are usually smaller. Obviously, that's not true today. We want things a little bit more open, a little bit brighter. If I was remodeling this house, I don't know if I would actually make the kitchen physically bigger. I think I would just be more thoughtful in the layout around things, because I really do like how in this level of construction, you have formed spaces. And I actually am starting to see buyers liking that a little bit more and saying they like to have like a living room and a dining room and a kitchen versus some of our big great room styles. So I think I would leave the layout the same, especially since on the back of that wall is a fireplace, and it would be shame to lose a fireplace. But you could certainly reconfigure everything else a little bit and have a little more modern 2026 style of kitchen. But honestly, in the meantime, it's beautiful, and you could totally move in and live in this house just like it is today without having to do anything. But then when you were ready to update it, you certainly could. I like that they added the dishwasher. Obviously the house wasn't built with a dishwasher originally, but it's nice. It's a nice bonus to have. So that works really well as just kind of an extra added bonus. The arch doors are amazing. Look at how they're curved like this. That is so cool. It even has a matching arched screen door. And that trend is going to continue through the whole house. Okay, so this house has another one of my favorite features of this era. The staircase has 2 access points. So you can hit the staircase from the kitchen, or you can hit the staircase off the main floor. And you have this nice little nook and cranny back here with the arch door opening up to the backyard, continuing that theme, which is wonderful. We'll go out there in a minute. And you have extra storage right here. Sometimes older homes, especially early 1900s, don't have a lot of storage. That's one of the other ways that you know this house was a very high-end home when it was built, because this house actually has a very nice storage throughout the house. I'll show you more as we go upstairs. So this leaded glass picture window is beautiful. That is a masterpiece of quality. And it overlooks Forest Park. Remember, I told you back Forest Park. So those trees that you see back there, you get to enjoy them, but you don't have to maintain them. That's all part of the park. And if you wanted to, you could just walk straight out your backyard and connect to the trailhead. Now, it's a little steep. I'd probably tell you to go to the trailhead at the end of Aspen instead, but you have that access right here. One of the other ways to know that this house was a very high-end home when it was built is the flooring. Now, the oak floors from the main floor continue all the way up the stairs and onto the second floor. Most homes built in the early 1900s have fir floors upstairs. Fir floors in the second floor, fir floors in the kitchen, but not this house. This house has oak floors upstairs. And yes, right now, some of the oak floors are covered by carpet. I don't know what condition they are underneath them, but I'll bet if you pulled up the carpet, they're probably pretty nice and you could refinish them. And just the fact that it's oak floors upstairs versus fir floors, that's a high-end feature. Now you have 3 bedrooms and a full bathroom up here, plus this bonus little nook area. The sellers probably used this as a closet. You have to remember that in 1914, we often had closets outside the primary bedroom because you had people who helped you get dressed sometimes. And so people needed to be able to access the clothes without bothering whoever was in the bedroom. So having this closet separate from the primary bedroom, that's actually pretty common. This is a good, true primary bedroom. Although you share the bathroom with all 3 bedrooms, you have access off the primary, which was actually pretty rare in 1914. Because in 1914, it wasn't super common to have an attached bathroom. But this house was designed that way. So this is the primary, 3rd fireplace if you're keeping track. You do have a closet in here, as well as a little one tucked in the eaves on both sides, along with these doors that are tucked into this little nook and cranny here. I love the glass knobs. Those are super original. And then you have this fun little built-in vanity area. Once again, remember the benches are the radiant heaters, so they serve 2 purposes. And you have the beautiful double windows that open in. And this house has storm windows on a lot of the windows. That makes it just extra efficient. The leaded glass single pane windows are so beautiful, but they aren't that efficient. By adding the storm windows, it makes the energy efficiency so much better. Now, you have access into the bathroom from this bedroom. So the design was really thoughtful, and you have this door that closes it off here, and then you have a door out to the hallway. So if you want to have this act as a primary suite, you can just close this door off and then have access through here. The bathroom is quite spacious, and there's room if you redo the space to make it even bigger. In fact, I might tell you that there's enough room to actually even add a second bathroom here that you just came off the primary suite with and have this be the hall bathroom if you were doing a big enough remodel that was worth it to you. Because not only do you have the full bathroom here with the tub shower, tucked behind the bathroom, you have a whole other room. Now, I don't know what this would have been designed as originally. Maybe it was just a sleeping porch, a sun porch, but usually we don't see those spaces coming off of a bathroom. So I don't know, I'm not exactly sure, but what if you put a second bathroom in this space and accessed it right off the primary bedroom? All of your plumbing is in that wall right there. That'd be super easy to do. So that's probably, if I was buying this home to remodel and live in it, that's probably what I would do. But in the meantime, you could totally live with the current bathroom situation. And because of how the doors were laid out, it lives very nicely that way. So there's some flexibility. If you did make that a bathroom and put this only for the hallway bathroom, you actually have some room here that you could gain back as well because you wouldn't need all the doors. So there's lots of potential there for just future growth. Now, 2 other bedrooms up here. The second bedroom features our 4th fireplace. Now, this is pretty fancy, and I don't know exactly what somebody needed. I think this was probably just a custom feature for someone. So sometimes in this genre, we do see 2 primary suites because for a while it was more in trend to not share a bedroom with your partner. So this feels like a second primary suite to me. We have another fireplace. Doesn't have connection to the bathroom, but it has a nice little surprise. It has a sink. in the closet. Now, the other reason we see that sometimes is because during certain times over the decades, some of these bigger houses had to be rented out as boarding houses. People would go to war and they needed to make more money. The person that was left home needed to make more money. And so you rent out the rooms and more as a boarding house style. And so sometimes we see sinks and bathrooms added because when they did that, they were able to get more rent when it was a suite, when it had it. So maybe sink was added at some point when it was rented out, or maybe it was built that way. I don't know. It was a fun little surprise when I opened the closet to find a sink there. Once again, beautiful windows. They're so pretty. I love this cottage trellis design in them. It kind of mirrors the lead glass window look, but gives this house a very much a charming storybook feeling. And because of the setting on the street, it's the perfect vibe. Now, the third bedroom is the smallest of the 3 bedrooms upstairs, but it's still plenty big. It's got beautiful windows overlooking the park. It has this nice spacious closet, and you can tell underneath the carpet, you have the wood floors. So if you pulled this carpet up, yes, you'd have to refinish them, but you could still have wood floors in this room as well. Lots and lots and lots of windows in this room. So many windows. And funny little pockets of storage. I don't know what they were thinking, but I love it. Like I said, this house has so much storage. That's not a problem. This staircase is so grand. I can just picture kids' prom pictures here, homecoming pictures, maybe a wedding picture. I love how it feels. It's super, super wide. The stairs are deep and wide, so they're easy to walk up and down. The handrail is beautiful. It is just the craftsmanship of this house is definitely a 10 out of 10. Now, let's check out the basement. Okay, lots of space in the basement and lots of potential in the basement. Currently, it's all unfinished, but there are so much you guys could do down here. Super high ceilings, easy to finish. We're well over the 6'8" Portland rules. Currently a tile floor, and then just a blank slate, a blank canvas. You could really do anything you wanted. Remember I told you I had a boiler? This is the boiler. Now, this is obviously an old boiler, but boilers are known to go forever. And you can buy a new boiler. I just sold a house actually with a new boiler. So they're available. I don't know much about them. Of course, though, we do know it's heating water and that's radiant heat that it goes through everything. So they're pretty cool. More of an East Coast thing than a West Coast thing. So if I'm selling a house with a boiler, I always have to brush up my knowledge just a little bit because we don't see it a ton. This house has a newer panel, and according to the listing, about half of the electrical has been updated already. So you probably have some original and some new. When buyers want an old house and they want charm and character, but they also tell me that they don't want any old mechanicals, especially old electrical, I tell them that's almost impossible. Because unless you're opening up walls, most people don't upgrade the electrical inside the walls. They only do that if they're fully gutting the house. So if you were to remodel this kitchen or remodel a bathroom, of course you're gonna update that electrical when you open it up and expose it. But if you aren't touching things over the years, that's not going to happen. So keep that in mind. With the old homes, you're probably gonna have some old electrical and some new electrical. In the basement, we also find laundry hookups, washer dryer hookups. You have outside access, so if you wanted to make this into like a separate living apartment or something when you remodeled it, you could certainly do that. Really, honestly, you could do anything down here. There's so many options. Do you see the old gutter for rainwater? So they had this gutter cut in and then a drain put in. That's super thoughtful. I don't see that application very often, but it probably works, honestly. And some of the new basement waterproofing tools that we use a similar method. So maybe they were onto something. Storage down here as well, kind of set up as a pantry, storage, cellar type space. Now you have the half bathroom down here as well, giving you a total of 1.5 bathrooms currently. Obviously, if you have this big of a house, in today's lifestyle, you're gonna want more bathrooms. So thinking about where you could add another bathroom or two, like we talked about on the second floor, and maybe even adding a half bath powder room to the main floor might be a good upgrade to this house and would certainly see return on your money in this neighborhood. So I love this space. It is so cute and so charming, and I love the access to the backyard. But if I bought this house, I think this is where I'd add a powder bathroom. There's no other really good spot on the main floor, and it would be really nice in this home to have a half bath on the main floor for guests, for entertaining, for all of those kinds of things. So they don't have to go upstairs or downstairs. So even though I love the door out to the backyard, I would tell you probably this is a space I would sacrifice. So as you walk through this arch door, you have another arch screen, and you have this fabulous, amazing covered patio. This was way before its time. Like now we have lots of covered patios, but back in 1914, we didn't have a lot of covered patios. Now maybe this was added at some point, I'm not sure. It looks very original, very well done. And you just have such a peaceful setting back here. This is a beautiful yard. Someone really cared about it over the years, And they did a beautiful job with the rock work. Now we see that in the front with the garage as well. I'll show you in a minute. But I love the stacked rock look, and it makes it feel natural and nice without being overbearing. It's not a big retaining wall that feels bad back here. Now the siding on this house, hard coat stucco. Now I like hard coat stucco. I hate EIFS, which is the 2000s upgrade styrofoam foam packing stucco look that we get sometimes. This is hard coat stucco, cement stucco. It's a great product. It's super hard. You can see here at some point this was a patch put in. It can crack over times, but it's easy to repair and it's not a big deal, and it's a very, very good product that will really just stand the test of time and last forever. You also have this cool arch here to mirror that door there. So the thoughtful details they put in, really, really a 10 out of 10. One of the things about old houses, especially old houses in great neighborhoods of Portland, is we get some history. There's a fabulous book called Willamette Heights Chronicles, and on page 209 it talks about this house. And it lets us know that the previous address originally was different than the current address. So originally this was built, it was 365 Aspen Street. No Northwest, nothing like that, just 365 Aspen Street. Now according to this book, it was built in 1914, but according to the tax records, it was built in 1917. So not totally sure there. The original owners was Willis and Alice Dunaway. And over the years, it tells us who the owners were. And so this book tracks 7 owners since the original Dunaways bought it. And when they built it, they owned it all through the 20s, and they sold it in the 30s to Harry Stroop. So the fun history about the houses are great. If you love this Portland home tour, you'll definitely want to check out the rest of our home tour playlist. Be sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and let us know in the comment what you'd like to see next. And remember, if you or anybody you care about is thinking about buying or selling in Portland, reach out. I'd love to talk to them.